Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, July 7th. As I record this one, I hope y'all had a safe, fun 4th. Still got all your fingers. Let us know what y'all did. Reach out to us. I'm going to start off by prefacing in the next week or so, I'll be posting on all our social media and putting a YouTube video out, probably a short, about what we're looking for in Prostaff guys and gals. So if it's something you're interested in, please let us know. So, diving into today's episode, it's going to be, I'm looking over an article from Field and Stream, and I want to say that Eric Church and Morgan Wallen actually bought Field and Stream recently. What I'm looking at, they're talking about 5 reasons you don't kill big bucks, which is, so I'm going to go over some stuff off of their list and, put my inputs in on it. Their number one thing is you're hunting the wrong places. You can't kill a big buck if the big buck doesn't live there. That's a given. And Dan Infalt is one of the big ones that talks about that all the time. And if the area is not producing what's considered a big buck, but that's also relevant to you as a person and general area and everything. There's a difference between a big buck and a mature buck. Mature bucks are going to be 4.5 or older, just because, then that's you're killing a mature deer. Mature deer are harder to kill. You can have a 2.5-year-old, 3.5-year-old, somewhere in that area that's going to go 140. That's, a big buck per se, if that area is, depending on the area. So don't get big buck and mature buck confused. That's the problem I have with their wording here. Like, there's a difference between big and mature. And also I want to go into, we'll use a bow hunter stat from the Deer Hunter. No, it wasn't the Deer Hunter. It was a Hunter podcast. They talked about only 10% of all bow hunters kill a 125 or larger buck with their bow in their career bow hunting. So also big buck is relevant to weapon and everything. So to me, I look for mature. I want to shoot older deer. Bucks are those, you want to kill the mature ones. The next thing, you don't have enough time. Hey, what's like the old saying? You either have money or you have time. You don't have both. And that's a huge problem we run into. I 100% agree with that. But you have to maximize the time you have. So I agree with you don't have time, but I also say maximize the time you have. Because if you're not maximizing your time, then obviously you're not going to have enough time. If you're not hunting on the right wind, you're not hunting on the right conditions, then you're wasting your time. That's already a limited resource. So, that goes back to hunting scrapes, like I talked about in my series on that. Scrapes are productive, like, only 5% of the time. And the conditions have to be right. So if you're hunting those scrapes, I'm so sorry. If you're hunting those scrapes are 95% of the time, they're not active on them in the daytime. They're hitting them at night, they're hitting them whatever. Then you're wasting your time. So therefore, you don't have enough time. To get more into the scrapes theory of hunting scrapes, like I said, you can listen back to some of the other podcasts about it. But roughly 5% of the time is when they hit them in the daylight. And that's usually after a night of like really shitty weather or something where they really couldn't get out there and do anything to them. They'll usually hit them pretty early. Right as soon as the weather breaks where they can. So that's the thing about maximizing your time. If you're not, it's wasted time if you're not maximizing it, and that's in any aspect of life. So if you're not maximizing your time, you're going to be failing at everything you do, not just deer hunting. It can be any aspect of life. So maximize your time, whatever it takes to be productive in that time frame that's got the best potential for you is how you need to maximize your time. Their number 3 is you get buck fever. I used to hunt with a guy, Mr. Jack, out of Mississippi. Great guy, was a Korean War veteran and everything. And this is when I was a kid, and I hunted with him from the time I was probably like 10 to 18, somewhere in that area. He would always tell me, the day you don't get... Sorry, I don't know if y'all heard that in the background fall. I don't know what it was, something in the shop. But the day you don't get a little bit excited when you're hunting, when you see a deer, is the day you need to hang it up. When you've lost that little bit of kid excitement in you to be a deer hunter, then you've lost that, you know, he talks about just losing that, like, excitement for deer hunting. And I get that totally, because I got to a point for 5-6 years, I didn't hunt at all. Yeah, part of it, I was in college, and, you know, the excitement wasn't for four-legged deer anymore. And, you know, I spent time chasing, you know, two-legged deer to get it, you know, the old joke. But, yeah, it wasn't exciting for me anymore. I mainly bow hunt now because rifle hunting is fun. But at the same time, rifle hunting is not as exciting. Like, I killed my 11 point this year right around the 122 to 27 inch mark. Haven't had him, you know, officially taped, but he's somewhere in that area. With a bow, that would have been an awesome buck. With a rifle, there was no excitement. I regretted shooting him after I shot him. I should have, you know, I had him in bow range, didn't have my bow with me. I should have waited till the next day, and because he was coming in regular, I had him patterned. Let's go into, we'll skip number 4 and tie that right into number 5. You needed to fill a tag. My time was limited. The opportunity was there because it was the day after Thanksgiving. So I had like Thanksgiving Day, the day after, and that Saturday to hunt. Then Sunday I had to be back across the state. So I took the opportunity I had to fill a tag with the time I had. Was he a decent buck? Sure. Is there bigger ones on my place? Definitely. You know, decent buck with a bow. Would have been a nice bow buck, not a rifle kill. And you know, I'm not knocking rifle hunters or anything, because like I said, I still do it. Not knocking them. Just where I'm at and what I should have did is not what everybody else is going to do or should do, and I'm not saying that's what you should do. Don't take my style of hunting for what I'm saying everybody else should hunt that way. I got some. We all do things different. I do things a little fucked up sometimes, and that's the gist of hunting, that we all do, you know. So with that, like I said, it's that's kind of tying 3 and 5 together, time and filling tag. So they hit some pretty good points. And then number 4, we'll jump back to it, is you treat mature bucks like any other deer. And that's where I went into talking about mature bucks. In the first one, mature and big is 2 different things. You know, mature buck is an age frame. Just because he's big doesn't make him mature. You know, so that's I agree with the number 4. And not just bucks, mature deer in general. An older doe, the old matriarch doe, she's going to be harder to kill than a good mature buck, because that good mature buck, you know, during rut, he's gonna mess up. That doe has no reason to mess up whatsoever. Like, she is what she is. You might have a better, you know, she's gonna be that one that's odd coming to the feeders. She knows what she's doing. So, you know, mature buck's priorities are going to be, he wants to stay alive, he's going to eat, and he's breeding does. That's it. That's his 3 keys to life. And also, if you're going to use feeders, mature bucks are hard to kill on feeders due to the fact that people feed low protein feed. The higher the protein, the bucks are going to know that. They're going to come to it. And now people are going to question that and everything. It's just, if you got 10% feed protein, he's not going to hit it like he does 22, 24% protein. It's just a given in any animal. Once they figure out what's there that they can get, they're going to get the best bang for their buck. No pun intended. So that's their 5. You know, and then we can get into like breaking it down, like we said, with wind and scent control, I use a proponent of both. If the wind's not right, you're not going to see mature bucks if you're not hunting the wind the right way. And by the right way, a lot of people, I'm not as strong in it as, I'm going to use the wind to my advantage. Scent control, I use a different regimen of scent control than what most people would use or even suggest to use. It works for me. So with that, I'm gonna mix my two. I want my winds a certain way to hunt certain places. Then I'm also going to use my scent control to mask my scent to give me that little bit of an edge. I know I'm not going to gain. You're not going to trick his nose. You're not going to, some people say you can. I just don't believe you can. So scent control and wind is the two together I use. Some people are just one or the other, but using those either one or both is another step to killing a mature buck. If you're not using them correctly, you're not going to kill mature bucks. So that would be kind of like my number 6 to their 5. Scent control and wind / both. There's a time and place for both, and a mixture of both. That's gonna help you kill mature bucks. Time frame of the year you're hunting the mature bucks, you have a better shot in rut if they're there. Of killing a mature buck if he's there, obviously, and because he's gonna be up and moving more so. This is just kind of like a bonus thing there. Figure out your mature bucks when they're moving and go from there. You got a really good shot the first week of season because they haven't been pressured. There's less to it. They're still more on a summer pattern. So if you have that pattern figured out and you fall back into the time frame, if your time's right, if you have the time at that time frame, then you have a really good shot at mature buck. If not, you want to hunt, like everybody wants to holler rutcation. If they schedule their vacations around rut, that's a big one. Being from South Louisiana originally, rut is totally different for us in most places down there than it is in a lot of the other states. You just don't see the chasing early in season like people, and people get confused what rut really is, and that's I think I could dive into a whole podcast on that too, series, and I may. I feel like just because they automatically see a buck behind a doe, the trail could be 20 minutes old, it could be 3 hours old. Oh, they're chasing. No, the son of a bitch was just taking the same natural route. You know what chasing is. There's a body language to it and everything. And I won't say 90%. I kind of feel like it is at times, but probably minimum 50% of what people call rut, they're not chasing, they're not running. They happen to be on the same fucking trail, man. And that's one that I guess if you really get into it, that grinds my gears. People are they're chasing. They're not. Some bitch was just out for a stroll. That'd be just like you or me walking through the park, and we're walking, 10 minutes behind a random person in the park. Oh, we were chasing after them. No bullshit. So it's like that little meme set with that little kid. Oh, bullshit. The TikTok video. But that's like I said, I could do a whole podcast diving into that. I think this is their 5 plus my 2. So their 5 were, number 1, making sure you have one in the area. You got to have a big buck. You got to have mature bucks, big bucks in the area if you're going to hunt them. Number 2, having time. You got to have the time. You got to maximize the time. If you get buck fever. So if you don't get excited, to me, you're still. I want the excitement. Number 4, you treat mature bucks like any other deer. That's their big no-no, and I agree. You can't. A big mature buck got to be that reason. Our doe that way for a reason. They know what they're doing. Number 5, you shoot because you need to fill a tag. I've done this. My number 6 would be wind and scent control or a mixture of both. And like I said, my number 7 is knowing what time to hunt them, what's most effective. And it kind of is a sub part of having time, but when are those big bucks moving and doing stuff at your place? Is it early October is your best shot? Is it rut? Is it late season? Once you get that dialed in at the area you hunt, that will help you with the other steps too. So that's my take on the 5 steps of killing a mature buck plus my 2 from Field and Stream. Like I said, I believe Field and Stream was bought out by Morgan Wallen and Eric Church. So if they were, I'd love to hear from them. Y'all get it to them. Thank you, Julius Craig, Delta Lodge Outdoors. Remember, take a kid in the outdoors, treat somebody, show somebody what the outdoors is and what a great way it is to learn and do. Thanks, Julius Craig, Delta Lodge Outdoors.